Hey everybody, this is the read along for 5.01. Okay, and this module is about Fauvist art. So, the 20th century brought change to the world and to the world of art on a scale that would have been unimaginable to earlier generations. Painters, sculptors, and architects all took their respective disciplines in new uncharted directions, ignoring or rewriting the rules of traditional art conventions. Groundbreaking styles and innovative artist movements sprung up seemingly overnight, only to fall out of favor within a few years and be replaced by even more novel and revolutionary trends. So this is really saying that that the 20th century brought upheaval into the art world. Everything was changing. Early in the 20th century, a group of European artists abandoned the attempt to represent subjects realistically and focused their energy on pure, righteous color. The movement known as Fauvism was characterized by an intense, garish palette that bore little relation either to the subject matter or to reality. Color became more important than the subject matter in expressing the artist's intent and emotions. Okay, so this is basically saying that when Fauvist art started, they didn't even care about whether the subject looked realistic. Their focus was on color. And if you look at this by Matisse, this is Madame Matisse, and you can see that the colors are not, they're not realistic. And if we look at this one called The Red Room by Matisse, you can see that the colors are very bold. And Matisse, this was the most important part of his artwork, was the colors. Ooh, here we go. The first decade of the 1900s saw Europe still enjoying the peace and prosperity of the era known as the Belle Epoque, but a transformation was underway. Around the world, impoverished workers formed trade unions to obtain a fairer share of the wealth generized by industrialization. Women demanded the right to vote and participate in politics. And the populations of Europe's colonial empires began to push for independence and freedom. The art world was not immune to the change sweeping through Europe. A small but influential group of painters, mostly French, rebelled against the conservative establishment that they felt limited their opportunities as well as their artistic freedom. They formed the century's first independent art movement, a loose-knit and short-lived faction that had a major impact on artists and styles. So again, the world was kind of in upheaval, and so was the art world. In the early 1900s, a number of French artists grew dissatisfied with the formal salon system for exhibiting artworks. In reaction to the tradition-bound spring art exhibit in Paris, they held their own art show in the fall, called the Salon d'Automne, and opened it to artists and styles of all kinds. At the third Salon d'Automne, held in 1905, painters exhibited works with spontaneous brushstrokes and colors so vibrant and unrealistic that many viewers found them jarring. So people had never seen artwork like this before, and they were like, what is that? That's how unusual it was. Some viewers laughed or cringed, others jeered at the paintings. An art critic mockingly christened the artist Les Fauves, which is French for wild beasts, and it was a name that stuck with them. The Fauves embraced their name. Eager to escape the conventions of traditional art, they turned away from established rules of perspective, color, details, and modeling to express themselves in bold new ways. So if you look at this artwork over here, this is demonstrating the things that we're talking about. In their portraits, interiors, landscapes, and still lifes, the Fauves applied pigment straight from the tube, just like the Impressionists did, laying down strokes that clashed and seemed to make the canvas vibrate. The raw power of their expression rendered the subject matter almost insignificant by comparison. For the Fauves, color trumped everything else. So again, they're saying that in Fauvism, what mattered most was color. The subject matter didn't even matter that much. What mattered the most was color. Henri Matisse was born in a small town in northern France on the last day of 1869. Following his father's wishes, he was planning a legal career and had taken a position as a solicitor's clerk when an attack of appendicitis sent him to the hospital. During his long recuperation, he began to paint, and before long, he was supplementing his income by selling copies of paintings that hung in the Louvre. By 1892, Matisse had quit his clerk's job to pursue an artistic career. Although Matisse was never officially accepted at this famous art academy in Paris, Gustave Moreau, an art teacher who recognized Matisse's talent, took him in. Moreau believed in the expressive power of pure color and gave his students the freedom to find their own way. Think your color, Moreau told Matisse. Know how to imagine it. So Matisse didn't start out as a painter. He started out really to be a lawyer. But after having appendicitis, he started painting because he was bored. And lo and behold, he turned into this unbelievable painter. Had this fantastic art teacher who basically encouraged him to go with the Fauvist beliefs that color was the most important thing and to just do what you want. Matisse studied the way that Impressionists captured the play of light on their subjects and how Paul Cézanne used color to model form and organize his compositions. Matisse's strongest influences were Paul Gauguin and especially Vincent van Gogh, who applied colorful in ways so powerful that the colors seemed nearly out of control. In the summer of 1904, Matisse visited Provence in southern France. The warmth of light there inspired him to use brighter colors in his paintings. Matisse experimented with pointillism. This is Seurat. Remember how we looked at his pointillist painting where he did everything with the dots? By placing dots of pure color next to each other to heighten the intensity of each dab of pigment. In the end, he concluded that the style was overly restrictive, meaning he didn't want to just work with dots. He wanted to be able to do whatever he wanted to do. From any distance, the colors blended into each other in a way that was too muted for Matisse. So he thought that this was too conservative for him, this pointillism. He wanted to be bolder. In 1905, Matisse painted Madame Matisse, The Green Line, a striking portrait of his wife, Emile. The composition is conventional, but everything else is new. Matisse applied a thick apple green stripe from her forehead to the upper lip to separate Emile's face into two distinctive halves. Her unflinching gaze is set off by strong arched brows and energetic brushstrokes to add drama to the portrait. Matisse believed that artists should use color to express an emotional response to a subject rather than copy nature. He also thought artists should eliminate all details perceived as unnecessary, condensing the subject to its essence. In this portrait, Matisse combines electric color with simplified shapes, creating a flattened, patterned effect in which the background is as important as the figure. Gone are the traditional uses of chiaroscuro and perspective to create convincing form and depth. So what he basically did was he made things look very simple and very flat. And to him, the most important thing was the color and for it to look unconventional and bold. Despite living through two world wars, Matisse created paintings that lived and breathed as a sense of joy. Pablo Picasso, a rival of Matisse, described him as having sun in his belly. Matisse used joyful, radiant colors in Madame Matisse the Green Line. The bright green stripe serves as a shadow line that divides the face into a lighter and darker sides, seen in traditional portraits. But here, Matisse translates the light and shadow into vivid color, with one side in patches of yellow, orange, and green, and the other side in shades of pink. Madame Matisse's hair is swept up into a tidy top knot and streaked with violet. The colors in her face echo the colors in the dress and in the background. On the left side, her dress blends into a similar color. On the right, the orange of the dress pops against the green background. In another painting by Matisse, The Red Room, also known as Harmony in Red, a housekeeper arranges fruit and flowers on a table. The bold blue arabesque pattern on the tablecloth continues to the table's edge and up the red wall that separates the table from the wall in the background of this flattened space is a thin, dark horizontal line, which is right there. The curve of the housekeeper's shoulder and her swept up hair repeat the flowing lines in the wallpaper pattern. See how this echoes? The window frames a flat landscape of lush greenery and blossoming fruit trees. The masses of white buds and the trunks of the trees echo the curling lines in the tablecloth and the wallpaper. The yellow of the garden flowers mimics the yellow of the lemons on the table. Matisse abstracted the elements in the Red Room until the composition became an unified arrangement of bold color and curvilinear patterns. You remember curvilinear from when we were learning about Art Nouveau. This painting shows the influence of a 1906 trip that Matisse made to Algeria in North Africa, where he became intrigued with the decorative patterns he saw in North African textiles, which is fabrics, wallpaper, carpets, ceramics, metalwork, and embroidery. He began to incorporate these designs as important components in his paintings of interiors. So he went to North Africa, he saw all these cool things in fabrics and ceramics, and he decided he wanted to put them in his paintings. Matisse employed two-dimensional repeating patterns as a way to organize the flat surfaces within his paintings. He used favorite patterns over and over again in his works. Okay. So in here, they want you to basically study some of Matisse's artworks, and they want you to compare them. This well-known Matisse work underwent substantial alterations by the artist over the years. Its first title was Harmony in Green. Then Matisse painted over the original green background to create Harmony in Blue. And in that form, it was purchased by a Russian art collector. But afterwards, Matisse convinced himself that the painting would be more balanced if the blue background were red. He asked to have the canvas returned, and the owner agreed. Matisse probably used this particular deep crimson to cover the intense blue beneath. Even still, some blue is still visible. If you owned Harmony in Blue, do you think that you would have given it back to Matisse to paint it in red? Matisse and other Fauves were influenced by earlier painters. And these were the painters that they were influenced by.